Texas represents all that's good about America. We Texans believe in individual responsibility and opportunity. But remember, you can't have opportunity without freedom. Texas is number one because we've defended your economic freedom, kept taxes low, spending in check, and gotten government out of your way. During my time as your Lieutenant Governor, I've watched our state grow stronger, despite Washington's endless attempts to take away our freedom. I need your support as I run for re-election as Lieutenant Governor, so we can make Texas even stronger by fighting Obamacare, securing our border, and defending your constitutional rights. Together, by protecting your freedoms, we'll create opportunity as big as Texas for generations to come. We're open for business in Texas.
It is a great privilege today to introduce our Lieutenant Governor, David Dewhurst. A native Houstonian, David Dewhurst is a proud veteran, businessman, rancher, and devoted family man. He has served as Texas Lieutenant Governor since 2003. He served in the United States Air Force, where he served as an intelligence officer, continued the service to the nation as a clandestine services case officer with the CIA overseas. In the 1990s, he served on the U.S. Commission on Roles and Capabilities of the United States Intelligence Community. Years later, he was appointed chairman of the Governor's Task Force Committee on Homeland Security in the wake of 9/11, where he helped structure Texas defense against terrorism. After leaving the CIA, David returned to Houston and built his own business from the ground up. Initially successful, he and his company were hard hit by the 1980s oil and real estate bust, and though he was beaten up, he never gave up. Soon his company, Falcon Seaboard, was a thriving energy and investment firm. Always interested in good conservative government, he became the finance chair of the Republican Party of Texas and helped elect many candidates to office. His first elected office was as commissioner of the Texas General Land Office. On day one, he cut the size of the agency by over 15% and returned state dollars each budget cycle. 4 years later, he became only the second Republican to be elected lieutenant governor since Reconstruction. As lieutenant governor, Dewhurst has championed and helped pass some of the most fiscally and socially conservative laws in the nation. He currently lives in Houston with wife Tricia and their young daughter Carolyn, a rancher, team roper, and cutting horse participant. Dewhurst was inducted into the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame in 2009. I very much respect that. And Dewhurst is a member of the Second Baptist Church in Houston. It is indeed a privilege to recognize our Lieutenant Governor, David Dewhurst.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mike, thank you. Mike, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, and thank you for being here today. Beautiful part of the state. What a beautiful day out there. So delighted to be here. You know, this is a big weekend for a lot of Texas families because for a number of schools, school starts on Monday, which means that for a lot of parents, they get a little bit of time off, so that's good. But as kids are starting in school, I was just thinking this morning as I was coming out here about the things we try to do for families, for children, for opportunity. And I'm all about opportunity, but you can't have opportunity without liberty. But in opportunity, this is such a great state. And it's because we've got such great people. In just a moment, I'm going to tell you all the categories that we're number one in right now. Well, I'll tell you right now. We're number one in the country right now. Best place to do business 2 of the last 3 years. Amazing. The year that we weren't number one, it's okay. We were number 2. USA Today rates us number one strongest economy in the country. We're number one in job creation each of the last 3 years. Amazing. All right. Because we have 8% of the population. 8%. And so we're creating more new jobs each of the last 3 years than 92% of the population. We're number one in exports 10 years in a row. But we're also, you know the old story, be careful what you ask for. We're also number one in our population growth. And that means jobs. That's why virtually every day, almost every day, certainly every week, I'm reaching out and trying to call different companies around the country to see if they have interest in putting some of their operations in Texas and create more jobs, because our population is growing. We're adding about 1,200 people a day. I'm going to end up talking about health care, but this just we've got to stress on our state. But we're growing. That's good. I'm a businessman. I'm the only, of all our statewide elected officials, I'm the only businessman. I'm the only one that started a company. And I understand that you can't cut your way to prosperity. You can't tax your way. You got to grow your way. And that's what we've been trying to do by getting government out of your way, getting state government out of your way. I'm a small government conservative, keeping government small, keeping our spending low. We're one of the 3 most frugal in spending states in the country, but still funding our essential priorities. So keep our taxes low, make it irresistible for companies to come in and invest. And then have the lightest regulatory hand, because we know that over-regulation kills jobs. But you know, all this would not have happened when you look back over the years, men and women standing up and standing in the breach. And I'm just reminded of the greatest generation, the generation right after that. God, if any of y'all are a part of that, just God bless you, because you helped take our country and make it great, the economic powerhouse of the world. Actually, I was in Normandy for 3 or 4 days in June, and on D-Day I was at Omaha Beach, and my dad had flown 85 missions during World War II. He was a bomber pilot, and he survived all that flak and all those German fighters. And he came back home, married Mom, and I was born. My brother was born. The drunk driver ran into him and killed him. So Mom had to go to work as a secretary. I worked my way through high school and college. But Texas to me is opportunity, and that's what I want to defend. I want to defend opportunity so everybody, you, your children, has a chance to live the life that you want to. And I'm so thankful for Texas. I was at an event in another state for a day, and people walked up to me and said, David, you know, you talk about Texas #1 on all these categories. What makes Texas #1? And I just couldn't resist. Just couldn't resist. And I said, well, I paused and I said, well, I tell you, it's kind of complicated, but I think most of the answer lies with the fact that in Texas, we have more people that live in Texas than any other state. I think that probably losing my dad at 3 has made me sensitive all my life to the value of life and the essential dignity of every human being. That's why over the years I've tried to fight so hard for the unborn, because every life matters at every stage in our journey in life. And also, that's the reason why I try to work so hard to improve the quality of life for everyone here in Texas, by cutting taxes, by limiting our government spending, and trying to do everything I can to get government out of your way as business people, so we can unchain businesses to create jobs, make it irresistible. Again, I'm a small government conservative, and I prefer the free market solution to the government solution. And even in healthcare, I'm going to focus on healthcare. Right now, for a lot of us Republicans, including myself, there's a push support to defund Obamacare. And while I agree with that, there's not enough talk about what's going to come after that. And that's what I want to share with you. An American solution, a free market solution, not a Western European, not a single payer solution. As you know, my title is Lieutenant Governor, but one of the subtitles is President of the Senate. So I'm in there working, leading, trying to get the things that you want to see done to make Texas even a greater state. One of our biggest responsibilities in the legislature every 2 years is to make sure that we're balancing our budget, from my perspective, without raising taxes. And that's what we've done. But right now, health care, Obamacare, is causing crowd out in our funding for public education and higher education and building highways and public safety and border security. And I worry that Obamacare, if it's not put in check, if we don't have free market solutions, and I'm going to talk about free market solutions, we're going to find ourselves with every state being financially threatened. And we can't let that happen. Again, let me be absolutely clear. I'm not talking this morning about Medicare. I'm not proposing to make changes in Medicare, although what I'm going to talk about has applications, free market, improvement of quality. But I'm talking about Medicaid, Medicare, seniors. Medicaid is a joint state, federal program in which state pays about 40% of all the cost and gets zero to say about the program. In other words, Washington makes all the decisions, 100%. But Medicaid is a program for children, 2/3 of the recipients, children, but the other 1/3, elderly, frail, disabled. I think we have an obligation to help people who can't help themselves. But I've been calling for years for Washington to get out of our business. Give us a block grant. We got great doctors. We got great hospitals. We can provide the health care in the Medicaid system. And that's what Obamacare is focused on, trying to increase the size of Medicaid. And I want to see Medicaid fixed. I want to see it free market solutions. Because if we don't, all we're doing is expanding under Obamacare a already broken system. And what happens if you take something that's broken and you try and make it larger? It's just going to be worse. Right? We all know that. At the end of the day, here in Texas, we know what's best for Texans. And we got great, great doctors, great hospitals. Let me give you an example. Here's exactly what I'm talking about. If you had a choice, what would you prefer? Paying a doctor, as you do right now, paying a doctor, excuse me, paying a doctor or a hospital exclusively on how many procedures, pardon me, on how many procedures are done on you, or paying them for performance? That's a choice. Today, fee for service is paying doctors and hospitals for how many procedures are done on you. I think at the end of the day, all of us would want our doctors to be doing the best job and paying for performance, factoring in quality of care. Again, at the end of the day, I'm the only businessman elected statewide out of 29 statewide elected officials. And we know competition works. We know at the end of the day, competition increases quality and lowers cost. And that's what I'm suggesting. Oh, it's very kind. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you kindly. Competition, where we're focused on outcomes, over the last 6 years, I've spent a disproportionate amount of time working on health care. I'm the least likely candidate to work on health care. I'm a businessman, a tall ex-basketball player, a guy that has been in the oil and gas business all of his life. So what do I know about health care? Well, I know a lot more today than I did 6 or 7 years ago. And that's why I passed Senate Bill 7 in 2011 and Senate Bill 7, another version of it, in 2013, in order to put free market solutions in the Medicaid and private care here, to have incentives for doctors and hospitals to have great outcomes, you and your health. Incentives to follow best practices. According to a RAND Corporation study several years ago, 45% of all of our doctors don't follow best practices. Now, that's America. I'm sure all of our Texas doctors do. Sure of that. Paying incentives to help keep you healthy and out of work. In China, I'm told that you pay the doctor when you're healthy. You pay the doctor when you're healthy, but you don't pay the doctor when you're not healthy. Now, obviously, there's a personal responsibility and habits and smoking and things of that nature. But competition. And right now, what we're seeing with Obamacare, it's one size fits all. And we know President Obama, with all due respect, we know President Obama wants a Western European socialist single-payer system. But I gotta believe, you and I believe, that we want to see the free enterprise. We want to see doctors. Let's unleash our doctors. Let's let them focus on great outcomes. Let's let our hospitals focus on great outcomes. Let me give you a couple examples. There was a recent article in Time magazine that pointed out different cities around the country, and in those cities, the unbelievable discrepancy in pricings for major procedures in those cities. This week, I think it was on Monday, there was an article, there was an editorial in the Wall Street Journal by a doctor who a patient came, and with that patient's insurance and what's not covered, he would have had to pay $20,000 for a major procedure. $20,000. But by the patient saying, I can't afford it. I know it would help my health. But by talking to the doctor, they shopped at different hospitals, they shopped with certain services, and it only cost the fellow $3,000, not $20,000. That's a big, big difference. That's a real life example. My brother-in-law is a doctor. My father-in-law is a doctor. All right. I know my brother-in-law, when people come in and they don't have insurance, he'll sit and talk to them. And the free market works. We can improve quality for you, for your health, and lower costs. Again, I want to see Texas continuing, not just in all these business areas, but in healthcare, leading the nation in innovation, leading the nation in the quality of our health of everyone here in Texas. Again, we're so blessed. We're so blessed to I think, live here in Texas. It's a great state, and we've got a great economy. Just this year, we invested $25 million more through the legislature. Excuse me, pardon me. This nice young man over here and his team had me up. We were up in the Dallas area, didn't get back till 1:30 this morning, and so the day starts early, so excuse me. But we put 25 million more of your dollars in to try and dramatically increase the number of nursing graduates. Just a few miles south of here, where I came from just a few minutes ago, Austin, Texas, we're going to have a new UT medical school. And have tremendous health benefits for the area and more research. Over the last several years, I've worked to improve dramatically the access and quality of community care. So let me just say, healthcare is something that we're all vitally interested in. It touches every single one of us. And I want my wife, I want our daughter to have the best healthcare possible. And the only way we're going to be able to do that at the end of the day is to follow what works. I'm sure by your being here today, you're free market. I'm sure by your being here today, you understand that what has worked in America is competition, personal ingenuity, and making this country and this state number one. And that's the answer, I'm convinced, to healthcare. Not touching the services, the qualities, the care under Medicare, but looking at how we can provide those services more intelligently and at a higher quality. And we do that. Not only are we improving the quality of life for every Texan, every American, but we're increasing the productivity of this state and this country. At the end of the day, that's what has made us great over the years. So thank you for letting me be with you. I'll just end on one note. Years ago, when I made up my mind after a long time as a business person, and I'm still a businessman, I still run my company down in Houston. You have to when you're paid as a legislator, $600 a month. But I'll never forget, my brother reminded me that I'd told everybody in the family that I was going to run, except I hadn't told Mom. And if you ever met my mother, you would know why I was reticent to tell her this. Not only fantastic woman, she taught me health, she taught me faith, integrity, hard work. And did I mention the hard work part? but great lady. And we hated to see her get sick several years ago and pass away. But I remember, I can remember the restaurant. I can remember how we were walking in the room. You know how some memories are vivid? You'll remember right where you were. She was on my right-hand side. So we walked in the room. Because as we were walking in the room and just sitting down, I said, Mom, I've got something to tell you. And she looked at me and she said, well, I guess so, son, because you rarely invite me to lunch. I said, Mom, I've thought about it quite a bit, and, you know, I'm proud of the company that I built up over the years. But I just, you know, Granddad was in politics. She said, well, he wasn't in politics long. Mama, my grandmother, after 2 terms in the legislature in Austin, said, Gene, that's it, get out. And I said, well, I've decided to run for statewide office. And she looked at me and said, what you can expect. Son, have you completely lost your mind? Some days I think I have. But it's the greatest honor I've ever gotten to serve you. It really is. I work for you. In a republic, and America is a republic, the highest office isn't elected official. It's citizen. Look back to the Roman Republic. It's citizen. I work for you. All right? I work for you. I got that. I understand that clearly. And so when my mother said, with tear in her eyes, she said, son, you've got my blessing on one condition. As long as you're in office, every day, you're going to fight for people you're going to push to the edge, fighting for people who have no one else to help them. And the day you don't, you'll get out. And that was my promise. God bless you.
Once again, let's thank the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Texas, David Dewhurst.